Good morning, family. Wanted to bring you a message today about something I've been thinking about lately, and that's the way of the streets. And again, man, I'm Uncle G now, Pastor Gerald the Sum, and I'm standing here in Newark, New Jersey. I own a for-profit construction company, and we're finishing off this building with a beautiful roof view here in the east side of Newark, New Jersey. You can see New York City, the backdrop here in the background. Just wanted to share that view with you this morning. Quite spectacular. But anyway, what I wanted to share this morning, I hope you can share this video with some young people, some young cats in the streets, because I want to talk about something I learned in the streets, and that is the way of the streets is the way of unforgiveness. There is no settling issues. There is no resolving conflict. And a lot of people, particularly young cats from the street, don't know how to resolve conflict. I remember years ago, I got into an altercation, we'll call it. This is, of course, before I knew the Lord. And one night I was playing ping pong at the recreation center. This is, way back when I was a younger man. And this big guy from another town says, "You want to play?" So we start playing, and he can't play. And I'm just beating him, he can't play, and I was good at ping pong. So then he says, "You want to play for money?" I said, "Sure." So we play for $2. Now remember that, $2. And I beat him, and he walks over to the table and picks up the $2 off the table and puts it in his shirt pocket, like right here. I said, "What are you doing?" He says, what? Like, what? I said, "Give me my money. I won the game." He says, What you want to do? What you want to do? You want to go outside?" I said, "Yeah, let's go outside." Now, mind you, I'm about 5'6", about 150 pounds. This guy is about 6'1", about 210. But back then, it was survival of the fittest. And we go outside on the main street. Some of y'all from Teaneck remember this. Teaneck Road, Teaneck Recreation Center. We out there in front of the recreation center on the main street, and we start brawling. Well, I was a wrestler back in the day in high school, so I scooped him up, dropped him on the cement, and started working on his grill. He jumps up and runs away. So that wasn't enough for me. So I jump in my car, and I had a bat in my car ready at all times. I jump in my car, chase him down the street, at least 6 blocks down the street. He runs into my cousin's house. He doesn't know it's my cousin. So he runs, I trap him off there. He's inside my cousin's house. My cousin opens the door. He comes to the door, bang, hit him again. And then he finally says, "Here, man, here, take the $2, take the $2. I said, "Okay, that's all I wanted," and walked away. Well, in the streets, that's not the end of it. Because sure enough, the next time you see this person, as Bernie Mac used to say, there's going to be some furniture moving, So, but these days, it's more than furniture. It's gun violence. It's all kind of stuff to remedy the problem. Because every time you see a person, after you have beef, it's going to be a problem. And sure enough, about 2 years later, I see this guy. I'm at the park. I'm shooting baskets by myself. And, nobody in the park. And he pulls up with 2 other guys. And I'm by myself, nobody else around. I said, "Okay, let me see what's going to happen here." So I just keep shooting. They start shooting. And, my street sense kicked in. So I went to my car, and I carried a machete in my car, which was about 18 inches long. So I popped the trunk, and let me just tell you this. As soon as I started to walk towards my car, sure enough, these guys start to follow me. So I get to my car, I pop the trunk and get the machete out. Now they're standing there. And they say, "Well, who you gonna cut with that?" And I said, "Whoever's gonna F with me." And they knew I was serious. So They said, okay, all right, man, all right, ain't no problem. Yeah, I know it's no problem now, you see, because you know what time it is. So time goes on. Now I get saved. And now I start to learn different things about how Yahovah would have me live, how the Hebrew covenant teaches me how to live and be a better man, a better person. So I hear about 3 years after this incident that they found this guy that I had beef with in the trunk of a car by the George Washington Bridge. Shot, left in the trunk of a car. That was his end. And it's a sad end, but that's the way of the street life. When you cause problems and you cause mayhem, it's going to come back to you somehow. And the way of the streets is when you have beef, you never let it go. It's never over. You all know, every time you see somebody, there's going to be a problem. I remember another time I was in Queens, New York. This is in my number sheet running days in Jamaica, Queens. And out there by myself on the route, collecting money. And these guys robbed me, took my bag of money and ran off. One skinny little kid ran off. We was all skinny little kids back then. But he takes my money, runs off. So the next night, I get my boys, and it was like a movie. We're sitting on the table and loading up the guns. Loading up the rifle, the shotgun, the 38, getting ready to go out and find this guy. So we get in the car with all that in the car. See how reckless life is when you're just out there crazy, not thinking. Anything could happen. We could have got stopped by the cops, anything. But we get back to the scene of the crime and look for this guy. And we didn't find him. And I often look back on that day and say, what if we would have found him that day? Well, he might have gotten killed. I might have gotten killed. I might have killed him and been doing 25 to life. A lot of bad things can happen when you don't know the way of the Lord. And the way of the Lord says that we must do one thing. One thing is paramount, and that is forgive. So I'm talking to all you cats in the streets in Newark and Chicago and Compton and, all these places that are notoriously famous for violence. When are we going to stop the violence against one another? Against people that look like you? If you look in the mirror, when is it going to stop? I mean, what is it going to take? And it amazes me that people are not marching in the streets when we're killing each other every day. Why is it when we only march in the streets when a white officer kills somebody black? When black on black crime happens, that doesn't matter? Is it any less painful to the people in those families in that community? Why isn't there signs written on the street about that? I mean, if Black Lives Matter, then they matter. But anyway, let me get off that. The point is that Yeshua, some of us call him Jesus, said this in Mark chapter 23. You can look it up. He says, when you stand praying, forgive. Because if you don't forgive, you will not be forgiven. And therefore, the logical conclusion is you can pray all you want. God's not listening, and he's not going to do anything about your situation if you have unforgiveness in your heart. Now, that is one of the hardest things for people to come to grips with, especially in street life. Because the code of the street is you're going to solve the issue by any means necessary. But that's not the way of the kingdom. There is another way. There is another way. And if the Ruach, the Spirit of God, comes to live with you, no matter what happens, you can forgive. You can go on. You can let it go, especially over something like $2. Remember that? $2. This is why people die. Because of a petty thing, they feel disrespected, and they're going to go out and solve the problem. But God says, if you live that way and you pray, I'm not listening. Now, some of you might be saying, well, I don't pray anyway, so it doesn't really matter to me. Well, you missed the point. You missed the point that there's a better way to life. And how many people would choose that better way if they knew a better way? How many leaders of guys in communities that are, about that life would choose a different life if they knew a better way? Now, some people just like that life. Some people just want that life. Some people want to stay and be about that life. But I'm hoping that this kind of message and this kinds of teaching would reach some of y'all. And somebody would change. Somebody would seek to change their ways and bring peace and love. Now, that might sound corny to you, but all this death and mayhem and chaos is not sexy. It's crazy. And it's ruining and killing the black and brown community. And at some point, I'm praying that it stops, that it lessens, that it comes to an end, because we realize that there is the way of love. There is the way of forgiveness. Well, that's all I got for today. It was on my heart. I want to jump on here, share it with you, and I pray in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Messiah, that it goes into your spirit. Around the country, people watching this, and it sticks, and there becomes some lasting change. Blessings on you all. Until next time, peace, and go Knicks.